Today we're going to be speaking about how to optimize image performance. So I'm going to start off with a little story. Imagine that you're in your morning commute on the bus, let's say, and most likely, what are you doing? You're scrolling on your phone. And all of a sudden you see an ad for your favorite store that has up to 50% off on all shoes. That sounds like a really great deal. So you click on it, and it starts loading and loading and loading, and maybe you reload the whole page because you're getting frustrated and it's loading some more. And then you've arrived at your destination, you get off the bus, and you didn't buy the shoes. Would you have bought them without seeing an image of the shoes? Probably not. Would you have stopped your day to wait for the image to load? I don't think so. So this just shows, it's just a little story that shows how important performance is when it comes to delivering a seamless user experience. So performance is important, but where do we start? So I have a graph here, a little pie chart that shows the average bytes needed to load a page per content type. So we can see there's a content type that accounts for more than half of the resources needed to load a page. Can you guess what it is? Based on the title of the presentation, it's images. And so that's where we're going to start to optimize our site. So a bit about me. My name is Bretonniere. I'm in the amazing WOW team for the past year and a half as a front-end developer. And I was given the task to implement responsive images. And so today we're going to see why it's so important to optimize the way that we load images, how we're currently doing it at Wix, and why we started looking for a more native solution in responsive images. Okay, so images today can be displayed on many devices. On your mobile, on your tablet, on your desktop, maybe on a billboard. And so all of those devices have different screen sizes and screen resolutions. And that's something we really must take into account. Some people would think, okay, I just need to take a really nice looking, big looking, high quality image and make it look smaller with CSS, let's say, in smaller screen sizes. But that's kind of stupid because you're kind of wasting resources into downloading a really big image to make it fit in a really small screen size. So that's not great. And that's why we as developers must really think about taking that extra step and optimize the way that we load images if we're going to use images in our features. So how do we currently do that at Wix? We actually have a really good solution that we refer to as the Pixel Perfect solution. So what do? We wait until we have the client, and then we take measurements of the container where the image will be displayed. This way we can bring exactly to the pixel the image that we need. So we don't waste any bytes on downloading a super big image that we don't need. But that's a great solution. But it relies on a lot of JavaScript, and that's not great for the main thread, and therefore not great for overall site performance. So we thought of going for maybe a more native solution. And that's where responsive images come in. So what are responsive images? Basically, it's the browser's ability to receive a collection of the image that you want to use. The same image, just different sizes, and therefore different weights. And the browser has the ability to choose which image will fit best, based on things like the viewport size that he's aware of, user preferences, that kind of thing. So let's look at an example, because that sounds maybe a bit abstract. So here we have our familiar image tag, but it has some new attributes that maybe you're less familiar with. So the sizes. The sizes attribute here, 25 VW, is an indication we give the browser of how wide our image will be in the layout. Yes. Then the source set attributes is where we actually write down all of our links, all of the candidates, all of the different sizes that we created of our image, along with an indication of their intrinsic width in the unit W. And we still have to include our familiar source attributes as a fallback in case the browser doesn't find a good candidate. So what are the benefits of using responsive images in a native solution? Okay, first of all, the preload parser is able to see which images to download before the HTML is rendered, before it even sees the style sheets and the CSS, and therefore it means we're loading images really fast, which is great for performance. Second of all, we're still keeping a good optimized image weight because The browser is aware of the size of the viewport, so it knows which image to bring and not to waste resources on downloading a really big image. And third of all, we're able to get rid of a lot of JavaScript that we needed to use before, which was the goal that we had. We don't need to do measurements, and we can just use the lazy loading attribute to lazy load images, which we couldn't do before. We had to use an intersection observer to let us know when images were coming into the viewport. So that's great. And of course, we had some challenges when we started building responsive images. Many challenges, and today, because of time limitations, I'm only going to mention two somehow simple ones. First of all, the syntax can get a bit complex. I only gave you a pretty basic example of what you can do with responsive images, but actually you can really play with it, and it can get quite sophisticated, and obviously the syntax gets more complex, so you need to have your documentation open on the side quite often. And second of all, the choice of candidates, meaning which images you're going to provide the browser with, is not an exact science. So some people argue that you need maybe 3 sizes, small image, large, that might coincide with an image for your mobile, tablet, and desktop. But this is not always great, because think about it. If you want an image on a device that's slightly bigger than mobile, but slightly much smaller than tablet, you're going to bring the tablet image, and you're going to be, again, downloading unnecessary bytes. So maybe you want to use more candidates, create as many as you want to really optimize the image weights. But then you need to store all of those versions on your server, which might get expensive. So you really need to think about that balance. Okay, now to conclude. So today we saw that responsive images might be a really good native solution when it comes to making sure we take the extra step and optimize the way we load images. But we still have some challenges. We're working on it. And I really hope that all of you now are a bit less scared of images, maybe, if you were before. And that next time you work on a feature that involves images, you'll think, like, to take the extra step and think, okay, what solution am I going to implement for loading my images? Or you can just use the wow image, and we're doing the job for you. Thank you. That's it.